and all that marked on it. And it took me 3 years, but I got the whole team to sign it.
Excellent. Okay, so we're good. So Jim, tell us a little bit about the time that President Kennedy came down and went through the capability demonstration with the Special Forces at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when he was looking at institutionalizing Special Forces.
Well, he made a special trip down there, you know, to meet us, and the interesting thing was Colonel Yarborough, the Green Beret wasn't official. You know, you weren't allowed to wear it. So he even got some from Canada and everything, but everybody had one that was on the teams. And so when he came afterwards, I rappelled out of a helicopter with full pack and everything. And he came around and said hello to each of us. And then he says, "Aren't you kind of young to be in Special Forces?" And without thinking, it just came out. I says, "Yes, sir. Maybe." I says, "But a lot of people think you're too young to be president." And then I realized, oh God, I'm going to get kicked out. So after we picked up all the leaflets and things that were dropped, they called me into the colonel's office. And I said, "This isn't going to be good. I hear I just qualified, and I'm going to probably get kicked out." And they weren't happy. I could tell when I walked in there. And then this guy comes in with a suit and everything, and he's talking in his collar with his security, security people for the president. And he whispers something to Colonel Yarborough, and Colonel Yarborough just looked straight ahead and kind of smiled. And then he says, "You're lucky." He said that President Kennedy thought it was hilarious what he said.
Really
and he said, he sent me over here just to make sure you didn't get in trouble.
And so after Kennedy was there and saw the demonstration was when he basically told the Army to let the Special Forces wear the distinctive Green Beret.
And the interesting thing is, it's the only part of the uniform that you can wear once you're out of the service, because it was earned, not issued. But and the other thing I was telling you about is when I went through jump school, this 1960, President Eisenhower was president then, and they put a number on your helmet. So 5 weeks of jump school, they call you by your number because they don't have any trouble with the names. And then after I got out of the service, they came out with this movie, PT 109. My jump number was number 109. It's in the picture.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Yeah, isn't that something?
It's incredible.
That's what my wife says. You're always at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's excellent. So tell us about finding the only arrowhead that's been found in South Florida.
Well, that picture I was telling you about, it's got all these bone points. They're animal bone points. That's what's used for the arrowheads. See, everything here is soft. It's coral, and it's not strong. But they make hammers out of conch shells and stuff. And so on all these digs I went on, we find these bone points on where the Indians were back 1,000 years ago. And over on Snapper Creek over here, that was dug. But the original Snapper Creek was a winding thing. And I went searching that and had my neighbor with me, and we're looking for, I knew that the Indians had been there. And then when I saw this arrowhead, I grabbed it. And I said, "I'm afraid to open my hand." It's just no arrowhead had ever been found in Florida. And it's it. So my wife made that plaque.
So do you have a theory on how the arrowhead got here? Is it made of flint or quartz or?
I don't know. It's strange because it doesn't look like flint, and but it's a perfect arrowhead. It's, I know that the Mayans, there's a place on the west coast that they said that they came over from Mexico there.
Right.
And in fact, I just saw a program on it. And I think that's what it is, because you had the Tequestas here in
Right.
South Florida, and on the west coast you had the Calusas.
Right.
And I went digging over there, and I've got some, like small scallop shells, and each one's got a hole in it. And they use those when they made their nets, cast nets, because they didn't have any weights or anything to put on them. There wasn't anything here to. But I treasure that one because it's the only one I know of. And I was president of the Archaeological Society. If you go to the museum by the downtown now, the new one, they've got a display and everything in there I found.
Pretty impressive. Arturo, what else we need to do?
Can we go through all of the incredible locations that you have physically worked here? I know you said you worked at the planetarium,
Yeah.
for the Museum of Science,
Yeah.
and Venetia Gardens, and like you've planted so many seeds that to my generation, you planted so many seeds that were the beginning of the trees that are growing, that are blossoming and flowering today for today's generation. Can you tell us about those locations and those places here in South Dade that are just historical to you?
No, well, I'll tell you about the ones that don't exist now. Fontainebleau Park over like Flagler and right off the. Before Fontainebleau Park was there, had a midden there, and Chuck Harry and I were the archaeologists there, and he found a mammoth tooth.
Right.
And I found some things there, and then they were complaining that we were digging up these places and destroying it. And then to come find out, they put condos on top of it, and they scraped the ground. Took, there wasn't anything left there, so we saved the stuff. And we wouldn't be in the museum right now.
So Jimmy mentioned that you were president of the Archaeological Society.
Yes.
I know that you've been involved with a number of other museums, with a number of different organizations. Can you tell us about some of those?
Well, the Archaeological Society they had it there at the museum. I helped get a stela from Mexico. It's the only one.
Right.
I think it's downtown now. And then up on the roof they had two telescopes, and so on Saturday and Sundays I'd go set them up, and whatever was available that night, Mars or Saturn was always my favorite because of the ring around it.
Right.
And people love that. But I always have to tell them, don't touch the telescope because the slightest movement.
Right.
And what it is I'd have to go there about 15, 20 minutes early and get the tracking right, and get it so it tracks. Otherwise you get star trails.
Yep.
And I've got hundreds of 8x10s of pictures I've taken, but I love that. And then here's a great story. They had the Patricia Hotel, which was right by the Brickell Bridge that goes into town. It was on the northwest side of they had tore it down. They were going to build something there, so I knew that this was a good site. So I went down there on Sunday. I took my kids down there, and we dig. And the interesting thing was, the deeper I went, the newer the stuff got. The older stuff was at the top.
Interesting.
You know why? Because when they dredged the canal, the older stuff was on top. It took me a while to figure out.
Makes sense.
Then people were in the condos on the other side, saw us digging there and thought we were burying bodies or something. So they called the police on us.
Right.
You know, the police came, and I explained to them what we were doing and everything. They said, well, we're off next Sunday, can we come down with our kids? I said, of course, I can use the help. So they came down, and the people called the police on the police. I thought that was hilarious.
So Jim, you were president of the local chapter of the Special Forces Association.
Yes.
Well, you've been involved with a number of other organizations. So what are some of the other places that you have been officers?
I don't know if you remember Sam Porco.
Yes.
He passed away. I've got a plaque there that he gave me before he passed away. 40 years I was president of the Youth Fishing Foundation there. And we used to get together, get stuff. And Bayfront Park, down in Homestead, we'd have kids, mostly migrant kids, come and we'd do a Christmas thing. And we had different stations. We had one where we'd show pictures of all the different fish, and then we'd go and they'd show how to tie the knots, and then they'd come over and I'd show them how to cast. There were a couple of us there. And then they go and get the fishing rod and they fish for about an hour, and then they come to the pavilion and we'd have hot dogs and chips and cokes and
I remember that.
and then we give them basketballs or footballs to take home, and the girls and dolls and stuff. We always had something for everybody.
Right.
Santa Claus came. We did that for 39 years. And then I was president for 5 years of the Special Forces Association. And then I've been with the World Cup Blue Marlin Tournament. And it was, I've been with that 43 years now. This was our 43rd year. And Jim Hardy, who was a writer, outdoor writer for Miami Herald, we were down at Key West 43 years ago. I came in fishing, and Tex Schramm had his boat there, and he had some of the cheerleaders, and they had a kickoff for the tournament, and they had hamburgers and stuff. And so they invited me on the boat, and got talking to Tex Schramm, said, you ought to have like a Super Bowl for the marlin tournament, because you like marlin fishing, where you fish the whole world anywhere during the time zone. Mm-hmm. It starts at 3 in Polynesia and ends at 10 at night in Hawaii. And it's winner take all. And this year, winning fish was got $1,100,000.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
But I've been in all these things, and I mean, I just love doing things and working with people, and it's all volunteer. I never got paid for any of this.
Right.
Except for Blue Marlin Tournament, I get a few bucks for that.
I think we're good.
One more story.
Sure.
The big grouper that broke your ribs.
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
us
Oh,
about that
yes.
one.
I took my son down there with me, and Ralph said, we're gonna go try to get a Warsaw grouper. It's not a Jewfish, it's a Warsaw grouper, it's got a square tail.
Right.
He said, I know where they're at. So we
Now,
spent,
this was out of Key West?
Key West, this Ralph Delph. And he got the big, I got the rod out there, a big rod. And I caught it on 130-pound test line. And we took channel locks and tied the drag down so it didn't come, the line wouldn't come off.
Right.
And I had a fighting belt and a harness, and I was in the 26-foot boat. So we spent, I don't know, about 3 hours trying to catch a mutton snapper big enough for bait.
Right.
Because otherwise the amberjacks hit the bait, smaller baits on the way down. So we found a 7.5-pound mutton snapper this big. Got him down. It was like almost like a meat hook. Put it down, and he hit. See, we drift off the wreck, across the wreck, and try to drop it to where he comes out of the wreck, and then he's got to go against the current to try to get back in.
Right.
So when he hit, the drag was screaming, and the rod butt came up out of finally in the harness. It broke 2 ribs. I moved it over, bruised 2 others, and knocked the disc out of place in my back. So my son, just before we went, while we were catching the bait, says, "Can I fish?" And he said, "Yeah, as soon as your dad gets one, then you get one." So after I got him, we got him in the boat. I laid down on the floor. I couldn't sit. I was hurting so bad. And Ralph says, "Okay, Jeff, you ready?" He said, "No."
Maybe a good choice.
He was 285 pounds.
Big fish.
I gave it to my fishing club for a fish fry. It served 80 people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
One fish.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. Huge.
That's pretty amazing. And wasn't wormy or anything. That's kind of neat. Yeah, good stuff. Sir, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun. Anything else you want to say is kind of a roundup, or are we good to go?
Good go.
All right. So
Thank you very much.
Right.